All right, you all seeing the question on the screen? Hello?
Yes, sir, we see it now.
Okay. Okay, good. All right, so for the first part to the question, right? 2 errors which can occur when a program is executed. Right? So 2 errors which can occur when a program is executed. Syntax error, not a syntax error, because remember, syntax error will not be, the program will not reach the stage of being executed if there's a syntax error present. Right? So one error will be a runtime error, right? And a second error will be the logic error. Okay, so that's 2 errors which can occur when a program is executed. The second part of the question, a document which contains instructions for the user of the program. Right, so this is something we didn't configure address particularly, but for this example, the answer for this question would be like a user guide, right? A user guide will be done, or a user manual. The third one, an error which can occur when the source code is being compiled. Anyone?
Say, can you repeat back what you say?
It is part 3, which is an error which can occur when the source code is being compiled. So that's actually what Raphael put on the chat initially, right? The syntax error. So when the source code is being compiled, syntax errors will be detected, right? And that's where that is an error that can occur. Now, what is the process of locating and fixing errors in a program? What is the term used to describe the process of locating and fixing errors in a program? So this is going through your program, making changes, adding, correcting mistakes, adding logic to fix mistakes, etc. Any guesses? Yes, debugging. Yeah, Raphael put that in the chat, right? So debugging is the process of locating and fixing errors in your program. Now, what is referred to as the code created after the program is compiled successfully?
Right.
What's that? Right, so this is, you have your program, you have your source code, it's compiled successfully, and it creates what? What it creates is what will be used by the computer, the CPU. And that is referred to as object code. Okay? So that's object code. All right, hold on. Let me just get another question for you all to look at. Any questions on that so far? All right. Okay. All right, so this is another question. You all see the question there, question 11. State one difference between each of the following pairs of terms used in programming. So the first one, what is the difference between a variable and a constant?
So variables are always like variables, they change and constants stay the same.
Right, so variables, they would hold values that change throughout the program, correct? And a constant, that will hold a value that will stay or remain the same, right? Throughout the program. So good, Raphael, so put the answer in chat here. Now, conditional branching and looping control structures. Anybody want to give this one a try? Now, first of all, you have to understand what is a conditional branch. What are they speaking about when they say conditional branch? And what is a looping control structure? So, conditional branch is like an if-else statement, right? That's conditional. And then the looping would be like a while statement, while loop, or for statement. Okay, so given that, anyone wants to suggest a difference between conditional branching and looping control structure? So one difference could be in a looping control structure, the statement or group of statements are executed repeatedly until some condition is met. And for control branching, based on a condition, or for conditional branching, based on a condition, a statement or a group of statements are executed once, right? So what you want to highlight is for the looping control structure, statements would be executed multiple times based on a condition, right? How about syntax and logic errors? What is the difference between it? Okay, remember syntax error has to do with the a syntax error has to do with the root errors or mistakes made in the structure of the program, right? So in the example we had, the operator was missing when we had if age 42. So that's a syntax error. A logic error would mean mistake in the sequence of program sentences. So if it is you want to say students who score more than 50% is a pass, as opposed to less. Okay. How about difference between source code and object code?
So I can't hear you.
Source code and object code, a difference between. Right,
So
yes.
can you say that over?
Sorry, repeat that.
Can you say that over?
Source code and object code. Question E, part E here. So, right, so there's some information in the chat there. So a source code is what the programmer will use, or when the programmer types the programming language, that is referred to as source code. That is now converted to object code, which is what the computer would understand. So the difference is the programmer or the language the programmer uses would be considered source code. Object code is what the computer would understand. All right, let me just get another question. Okay, so let's let me share the screen. Right. Okay, so the first question there, state two programming languages that are categorized as low-level languages. So example of low-level languages. So examples of that will be machine language and assembly language. I remember machine language was the one that converted to or were written in ones and zeros, right? And the assembly language had some words, but it was not as clear or not any context we would use. All right, so good. Someone in chat answer that question also. What about high level languages? So example of high level languages would be the ones that are more in the vocabulary we use. So yes, so Java, Pascal, Python, etc. Right? Those are examples of high level languages. The second part to this question is rewrite the following list to show the correct order of steps associated with implementing a program. So they have there in a random order: compile, write source code, execute, maintain, and link. Right? You all could type this in the chat if you all want in the right order.
Is it over?
Yeah, it's on the screen. You all seeing the screen? The shared screen?
No, like your mic is just breaking up.
Okay, but are you seeing the shared screen?
Yeah, we're seeing it.
Right. So what you have to do is question B, part B. Right. So when you all could put your suggestions on any chat if you want, or speak into the mic. Anyone wants to suggest what will be the, okay, I'm seeing an answer here in the chat. Write source code, compile, maintain, link, and execute. Okay, so that's not the correct order. There are some things that are in the right spaces, but some is not. Some are not. Anyone wants to put their suggestion on? Okay, well, let's say first, let's have a agreement, right? So what will be the first step? What would you consider the first step? Okay, write source code. Yes, write source code. Okay, so write source code will be the first step. Based on the two answers, the persons had that. Okay, so after you write the source code, what is the next step? What happens after that? Think about when you were doing your program. What is the second thing you did? After you wrote the source code, the next step you would do is you would go on, you would compile the program, right? So the second step is to compile. So first is to write the source code. The second step is to compile. After compiling the program, then what will be the third thing that happens? Right, yes. After compiling, you would link. Remember, linking is putting together different blocks, right? So it would link the program. After that is done, after the linking, so you have your source code, it compiles it, make sure everything is okay from a syntax perspective. It would link the different blocks together. Then what will happen to the program? The program will be executed, right? It would show up on the command window in the your experience. It would show up on the command window on your screen. And after the program is executed, then you maintain the program, right? Then you make sure that if there are any updates, if there are any changes, if there are any optimizations, that's part of maintenance. So the steps in order will be to write the source code, compile, link, execute, and then maintain. Okay. How about the last part of the question? State the name of the code that the program uses for executing. What is the name of the code that the program uses for executing? Anyone wants to try this one? We've mentioned it a couple times already. No, not machine. Is object code, right? Remember, object code is what the program used for executing. Okay, so is converted from source code to object code. Okay, so that's that question there. Let me just put up another one. Any questions so far?
That's it.
Everybody okay so far? Okay. All right, so as you see, as we go through the questions, you'll notice that there are some questions that are repeating itself. So you're seeing the object code. You're seeing source code, object code, being able to
So I can't see your
distinguish
screen
between-
anymore.
Yeah, I'm not presenting right now, so that's why I'm starting. Yeah. Right. So what I'm saying is, you see questions similar, or some of the things repeating itself, right? So you have to be familiar with the types of errors, syntax errors, logic errors, runtime errors, etc. Right? You have to know what each one means. You have to have an idea of the differences between it, at what stage it happens in writing the program or executing the program. Okay, so any more questions based on the programming or this part that we discussed right now? Remember that in the exam, we don't expect to see any programming specific questions. So no questions telling you to declare or write the Pascal code to declare a variable of type string or integer, etc. Okay, but you would see questions.
You could repeat because it was breaking up.
Yeah, I said you wouldn't expect to see questions as it relates to writing specific programming code. So writing the Pascal code to declare a variable as an integer or declare a variable as a string. But you will see questions around errors, the type of errors that occurs, how to testing, black box testing, white box testing, etc. Right? So those things you need to understand and be able to differentiate between. So if there are no questions based on this, I want to do a couple of questions based on what we did last week, that topic, right? So let me just get a question, I'll share it. All right, so I'm gonna share the right. So you all see the question there. It writes as question as part B. It says write the Roman numerals 1 to 4 in the answer booklet. Right, match each of the job responsibilities. Sorry, 1 to 5. 1 to 5 to the letters A to E that correspond to the most appropriate computer-related profession. Right, so what you're going to do is you're going to look at the responsibility and then match the professional that suits or will have that responsibility. Okay, so take 5 minutes and see if you can attempt this question.
So
Yeah, question? Okay. Okay, I see some answers coming in there. Right, so for 1, right, or job responsibility 1, works with programmers to develop and test the system. The professional that does that, we have 1 suggestion for A, database administrator, if I understand, and 1 suggestion for system analyst. Do we have any other suggestions for that role? Okay, so the answer for that one, that is works with programs to develop and test system, would be the system analyst, right? So that is the one that's most fits that requirement there. The second one keeps data up to date. Given the professionals we have, the database administrator will fit that role. Carries out day-to-day maintenance tasks with hardware and software. That would be a computer technician. Develops and installs software used in a network, would be a computer engineer. And determines the network cabling requirements and layout, would be a network administrator. Right? Does anyone have, or did anyone have any difficulty coming up with these answers? Or is everybody clear on it? Any questions on it? Now, remember what we mentioned before, right? That some of the roles and responsibilities may seem similar, but in a case like that, you have to choose the one that's most appropriate. So for example, the option or responsibility 4, which is develops and installs software used in a network, and responsibility 5 determines network cabling requirements and layouts. Both responsibilities have the word network in it. So you may, at a first glance, think the network administrator could be for either one, but looking deeper into the responsibility, responsibility 5 speaks about network cabling requirements and layout, right? So what types of cabling we use? Are we using fiber? Are we using twisted pair? These sorts of things. And for those decisions, it will be made by the network administrator. So that's how you get 5, right? So in an instance where there are multiple, it seems that there are multiple answers, you have to analyze the question even further and look for differences. All right. So let me get another one related to this for you. Okay, I just put a question up there. And the same thing, have a look at this question. The table, it shows job titles and tasks. And you need to basically determine which job title is responsible for which task. So you'll get a couple of minutes to work on this one. Okay, any suggestions? Let's start with the first one, right? The network administrator. What would be a task of the network administrator? Right? To identify functional requirements. No, you wouldn't do that. Remember, the network administrator is responsible for any activities done on a network, networking equipment, and planning and designing that, right? So what would help the network administrator actually is to first understand all the information. So based on information given, there is one acronym there, and the acronym is WAP, right? So first of all, does anyone know what WAP means? What does that stand for? Right, so a WAP is a wireless access point, right? So a wireless access point having to do with something or a device connecting to the network to give people connectivity. So the network administrator is most probably going to be working or responsible for installing wireless access points. Okay. The other professional job title, systems programmer, and what will they be responsible for?
Like writing the code.
Right, so we have a systems programmer. No, this is the thing, right? We have a systems programmer and we have a programmer. So who does which
They
one?
developed a schema.
Right. So the session is going to cut off in less than a minute. Let's think about that, and when we resume, we will discuss it.